Right.
Going live in 3, 2, 1.
You're now listening to From the Jump.
Welcome to From the Jump, your source for all things hip hop. I'm Syllable. This is my co-host,
Mr. White.
Make sure you subscribe and leave a comment below saying I subscribed, and we'll try our best to reply to your comment. And today we're going to be interviewing Ceschi Ramos, who's in town for a show tonight at the Beauty Ballroom.
Hello, everyone.
I appreciate you coming into the studio. Thanks so much.
Lovely to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're here. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was just kind of like, let's do some origin story. Your superhero origin story. Like, was there a moment that just got you into hip hop?
Yeah, my moment to get into hip hop, I remember it clearly. I lived in Decatur, Georgia at the time. I was a little kid, 5 years old maybe. And I was helping a neighbor feed his dog while he was away.
Yeah.
And he had MTV. The first hip hop I really gravitated towards was the Fat Boys with the Beach Boys. So it's probably
Boys with the Beach Boys.
Yeah, they had a joint together.
Okay.
So I'm seeing a bunch of fat guys, and including one Puerto Rican guy, and I'm Puerto Rican. I was like, these bunch of fat guys rapping with the Beach Boys. So I knew enough. We're still kind of figuring things out. This is fun. This is cool. And I remember stopping. I fed the dog, and I watched this video of the Fat Boys and the Beach Boys, and I instantly loved rap, and I wanted to be a rapper. And I was a fat kid too.
Yeah.
I've always been a chubby guy, so it was always like, I relate to this. You know what I mean? Nice. And then later I saw the Fat Boys movie, and all these things. Like, they are definitely the first moment I related to hip hop, and then I started rapping about a few years later.
That's dope. So
this is the 80s. This is 86, maybe
86.
85.
So you listen to Run DMC.
Yeah, no, I listen to everything. My cousin was really into Run DMC. My cousin's he's a metal drummer, a punk drummer, but he loved like hip hop. He loved Run DMC, NWA. He'd always be playing that shit. So
tell us about your first show.
My first show. I think my cousin probably put on my first show. I was in a band. I'm in a band still to this day with my brother. We're a band that can never quite break up unless we die. So it's called Anonymous INC. And I think in 96, maybe, we played our first show. It was like a all-ages community type center in Connecticut. And my cousin set it up. My cousin was in popular metal and then alternative metal. His band, Gargantua Soul, was managed by Rage Against the Machine's manager. Okay. Like, they had the same manager. He opened for Rage at the Coliseum in New Haven. And you know what I mean? Like, he was really involved in that scene. He's the reason I played my first shows.
So when you started doing the music, did you just pick up the guitar instantly? Did you have any classical training, or was it just a part? It was like a part of everything that you evolved with, essentially.
I did, and I was in Decatur, Georgia. I went to a school that offered instruments classes for kids.
Okay.
My mother told me I couldn't take the guitar because it was too big. So she made me take the violin, and I started taking the violin. And she also made me try out for something called the Atlanta Boys Choir. And I tried out. I had to go in this room of like old people, and they say, "Sing us "Row, Row, Row Your Boat." Yeah, and I sang it well enough that I got accepted to this elite boys choir that sings for the Pope or whatever.
So you brought a violin with you, is that right? You're gonna perform for us.
I don't violin. The funny thing is, I never bring instruments with me to shows. I usually just buy them in every town I'm in.
Really?
And then return them or keep them.
Wow.
Or give them away.
That's interesting.
Even the guitar I have tonight, I just bought it yesterday.
Where'd you buy it?
Guitar Center in San Antonio.
Right.
They have a 45-day return policy. And
as you look at the camera.
I love this. I mean,
but sometimes I'll fall in love, so it kind of works for them. Sometimes I'll be like, "Oh, this is a song. This is a guitar that's gonna build a great song for me." So I'm gonna keep it. you know. So.
I think that just speaks to the reality of what it means of being an artist, and especially independently. Like it doesn't seem like you have, you know, Interscope or Atlantic behind you. So right, you know, you go somewhere, you get your guitar, and you know you're not trying to run up your expense sheet. So you're not like buying $1 million guitar. You just need an.
No, I buy a $200 guitar, and I usually return that guitar to get full credit back.
Hey. Come on, pro tips here. Pro tips.
And these is the thing that everyone at Guitar Center understands.
So I want to give you a pro tip. If you do another show in Austin, go to South Austin Music by the Saxon Pub in South Lamar.
They got the rentals, right?
That's
$5
one of the best stores ever for just guitars. Period. You know, all the guitars. I play guitar, right?
Yeah.
All my guitars that I've bought have come from South Austin Music. It's
okay.
where.
I mean, I assume in Austin, and I knew that in Austin they actually do rentals, like proper rentals, but most of these spots don't.
Yeah.
Sometimes if I can get a good rental, like when I go up to Canada, I always rent guitars. They'll give me like a nice guitar for like a really good price.
Nice.
I'll do that. But in Guitar Center, I know the fucking deal.
So you've created a record label called Fake 4.
Yes.
Now I thought I had an idea of why you created that, but
the name, you mean?
The name Fake 4. Yes. What's behind the name?
Well, my hand, the 4-fingered hand is the logo, but the truth is, in the early 2000s, I started a band called Toca with my friend Cholo Lancinco, Tommy V, my brother David, my cousin Ernesto, my old childhood friend Pat, Danny T. Levin, a lot of people involved. It was a big band. We were signed to Snoop Dogg's management team. And so it was like his whole team like that decides that he should be on I don't know, he should have his own beef jerky and shit, whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that level of team. Like they were putting him on, you know, doing all types of shit for Snoop. They ran his label that he owned. Now he owns Death Row again. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like the same. It's like people behind him, his team.
It's artist management stuff.
They were like they were run by an underground rapper that went by the name of Slant Eyes, and he signed us on some demos we had made. When we were making that record and finalizing that, they asked me to do to create my own publishing company, which is actually one of the greatest things I got out of that, because I didn't know anything about ASCAP and BMI and all that shit. So when they told me, okay, create your own publishing company, and I remember ASCAP at the time, they just say pick 5 names, and Fake 4 was one of the names I picked for my own publishing company. I'd probably pick different versions of it, but I thought it was funny. It was kind of like a joke. It was like Fake 4 Music, because I was already beefing with the label. We were already beefing with the label. So like, all right, you want this? Fake 4 Music. I'll be Fake 4 Music. And so, like, fake it until you make it. Mind Clouder is 2Max. Shout out. So that was what's on my mind. Also, the 4-fingered hand. So it was kind of a joke, and I already had the logo in my head. And then my boy Tony, who ran multiple indie labels out of Dayton, Ohio, he was like, you should have your own label. We'll distribute it and manufacture it. And so 2008, we started with the help of Tony and our other friend Craig Gonzalez from Grim Image was the label he had. So it was Fake 4 started that way. Yeah.
That's pretty sweet, man. I see you got a lot of work. You work with a lot of different people. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you get inspiration from project to project? Is it just life stories, or is it just the general passion for music that just gets you up and be like, I just want to make a new song? Like, everybody has a different process for why they want to make music.
I think music, I recently was telling somebody this. I was just like, it's a thing that never got old for me. Like, I was a graffiti writer. I think I had one of the dopest black books in my high school. Do you know what I mean? I was like,
sweet.
I was pretty dope with the visual. That was my thing. Me and some of my best friends from high school and shit. But music never got old. When I discovered home recording, it's just therapy. It's a meditation. The things that a lot of my life comes through in the songs I make.
And so, like, do you prefer making the music or performing the music?
They're both different animals. I love them both very much. I am so grateful for music, man. Like, it's taken me out of the darkest places. It's pulled me out of holes, man, to the point where, like, some days I'll wake up and there's some random ass money in my account that I was broke as fuck and like music,
music, right?
What?
Music, nice.
So yeah,
that's dope.
It's definitely it's just been a blessing, man. It's like I've done it my entire life. Like I've been rapping and playing guitar and instruments since I was a little kid, but
that's awesome.
It never got old. It's like one of the few things that just never got old to me, and that inspires me still. So.
I feel you, man. It's very inspiring to perform it, to listen to it, to be part of it.
And I didn't quite answer the question right, but it's just like I don't have a great answer.
Look,
it's just like
the Scantron test for this interview will be delivered after. Did you bring a number 2 pencil? That's the question. No, we're not stuck up motherfuckers. We just trying to vibe with you here, and so I appreciate that as music as a way of coping. And when I was living on the streets as a teenager, the one thing that I kept with me, despite all the shit I went through, was this fucking guitar. What I want to talk about with some of the artists that are covered on Fake 4, I didn't realize how many were folks that I'd already met or grew up and cut my teeth listening to. Yeah. And so I'm really impressed.
That's kind of part of the reason behind Fake 4 too. So when we started, it was just supposed to be me and my family. So it was like my brother's record came out first. We were like, let's have an outlet for our own shit.
Yeah.
But then it was like, hey, the indie hip hop as we knew it at the time, like labels were closing left and right. Mm-hmm. It was pretty much the worst time to ever start a label financially. But I had my other hustles and means of making it work. And it became like my biggest art project. Basically trying to lift up other artists that I looked up to and respected.
Well, like that service to others' energy, sometimes it comes back, and it's a sustainable system.
It always comes back.
Loop,
I highly recommend investing into friendships because it does comes back.
Definitely. So I wanted to.
You might get fucked a bunch of times in your life, but a lot of times it also comes back and lifts you up and keeps you here.
Welcome to Self-Help and Hip Hop with your guest, Ceschi Ramos.
It's real, though.
It's true. It's true. I respect that. Mine says everything. But I wanted to specifically talk about with Fake 4. You produce albums with or on the label with Myka 9.
That
was
1969 by Myka 9, which came out in, I think it was 2009 or 10. It was a big game changer for us. I introduced I met Myka during the time when I was working on Toca, which was our band. We did a freestyle song together called Jazzy Girl with Bus Driver.
Sweet.
And Cholo Lancinco was my bandmate. And that came out on the Project Blow 10-year anniversary compilation. And nice. I'm the guitarist and songwriter behind that. I didn't rap on it.
Yeah. But
these are my heroes, you know what I mean? All these cats are people I looked up to. So
like some of the artists that I just want to do shout outs to the fact that you've got them on your record label, Fake 4. Myka 9, Lewis Logic, Blue Sky, Black Death, AWOL 1, Astronautilus, who used to be there. At one point, even Buck 65, I think.
Yeah, Buck 65 did a project for us. Yeah.
This is so, and then Soul of Anticon,
absolutely.
This shit is what I cut my teeth on. I'm in high school. I'm living on the streets. I'm still going to school. I got one of my buddies introducing me to hip hop. Soul is one of those first artists that I got into, right? Ooh. And I heard that you actually bought Sage Francis's first demo tape back in the day.
Yes, in '96, I saw Sage Francis at a hardcore show in New Haven, Connecticut, at a place called the Tune In. And he was a straight edge rapper, and he had a record called Homegrown that was all beats he had jacked from RZA or LP, people like that. It was dope.
Do you still have the tape?
I memorized that tape actually, I still have it. Yeah.
Oh man, that is dope.
And it still has his address, which he still owns that house actually. Just my boy Shoshin, who he's one of my partners in hip hop. We have people that we come up with, and he was one of them. He bought that tape too, and it was a hardcore punk show, Vision of Disorder. I used to go to all those shows.
So honest confession, the first hip hop show I ever went to in a club when I was still in high school, X's on my wrists, right? X's on my wrists.
Yeah, because you were that young.
Sage Francis, and I think I was 16 or 17. And I don't know if it was Sick of Waiting Tables or Still Sick. It was one of those. His tour is
early 2000s.
Yeah, one of his first times, and I was actually deathly sick at the time, and I was like throwing up in the bathroom with the Stage Francis show. Crazy. And I emailed him afterwards, and I was like, "Man, I caught your show, but I was really sick. I was trying to enjoy it." And he was like, "Man, I'm sorry you were sick during the show." Yeah, it was one of those things I remember. So it's incredible to me, right, that you have these rappers, these artists that I grew up and I cut my teeth listening to when I was in high school on your label. Like, that is just dope as fuck, and I want to give you your flowers for that. That's just...
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I feel like I'm maybe like a generation or a wave under them. Like, I'm just a little bit younger than them, so I look up to them just as much as you do, and the fact that I could help them in any way was amazing. So it has been amazing. Yeah, Sage is a real special dude, though, and we over the years we do have a lot in common, I feel like, and so I think over the years we've gotten closer and closer, and we really initially met through friends. I think we initially met through Soul, really. I'm really happy for him. I'm happy for where the direction his life has gone in, because I think he sees the direction my life's gone in, and as a small label owner and a hardcore touring artist that's live on the road. Like, I'm a few years younger than him, so he sees kind of the direction I'm going in, and always has good advice, and it's always good to see him. It's been a while. He moved to Connecticut, actually, so
nice.
Yeah, but pandemic happened, so we can't kick it that often. But
yeah, that's always a hard one. The pandemic. So I want to ask you about, like, right now, what would you be listening to, or are you not listening to any new music in hip hop? Anybody up and coming that intrigues you as far as their artistry that kind of aligns with what you would listen to?
Oh, I mean, shit, I was blown away by the Kendrick record most recently. I thought it was real bold to be at the place where he is in his career, and to decide to do, like, a therapy album, to promote therapy to the masses,
and y'all can check out our review on that. We did,
especially
project
in hip hop, and especially from his perspective, from his unique perspective. It was, it's definitely not. It's more. I took it almost in sittings, like a book.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And when but yeah, I admire him a lot as an artist. I'm constantly. Most recent record I listened to, hip hop record I listened to that I love it's not out yet. It's by an artist called Dope Knife that we are putting out, that we've worked with and Sage has worked with over the years, and we're putting out his next record. He's out of Georgia.
What it's like to actually run a record label. And from what I understand, like, you cold call over 300 record stores and email them when you have a release out. You do a lot of grinding.
We used to. Those times have changed.
Okay.
The reason is because literally retail stores have changed. When we came out, yeah, we did that. We did that whole move. Like, man, when we first started, we used to send demos to everyone, CD demos.
Yeah.
And I don't even mind talking about it publicly now, but at the time, a rapper we knew was signed to a major label, and we came across a FedEx account that was owned by a major label. And we were just trying to survive, and so we milked that FedEx account to send out demos to every place we could.
Nice.
And we sent out thousands and thousands of demos to college radio, retail stores. We'd call them. We'd have homies calling them and be like, "Hey, do you know what Fake 4 is? And do you know what this is?" And some people were really into it. Some people were really mean and fucked up. So it was like, we came out at a time there was no streaming, there was no Spotify. We started seeing iTunes picking up at one point, and it was still like CDs, vinyl and CDs. And vinyl's always been strong, but CDs really. And then CDs got to the point where it was like very little, and now it's all streaming and digital, and it's about, it's just a big shift. So,
do you still get tons of submissions for? I think in another interview you said anything from 15-year-old gangster rappers to middle-aged free jazz musicians.
Yes, yeah. It's less. I feel like there's so many options. I don't think people need labels anymore. Like. So the dream of the label of, like, someone discovering me and just putting my shit out. The record deal, it's not as much of a thing for a new generation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've had the funniest demo submissions.
What was one of the funniest demo submissions?
A 14-year-old that was like, "I'm making you a millionaire." And I heard
that voice.
and it was like, I'm gonna listen to this kid. And it was a 14-year-old rapping. It was some shit that like.
Have you had anybody like just blow you out of the water though as well?
You know, we can take risks on shit that's so out the box. You know what I mean? And not have a crazy huge overhead for it. And I have taken major risks on shit the stuff that blows me away is usually, I feel like it's probably not what people expect me to be blown away by though. I'm blown away by like songwriting and just like different lyricism, but it's just like a whole energy thing too. I need the stuff that blows me away is like Andy the Door Bum, shit like that, like shit that's like, it doesn't feel like it comes from this world, but it's the most human thing somehow. You know what I mean? Like, and that's not hip hop, but it's still like, I know he has a big respect for hip hop. You know what I mean? He don't, but that's the stuff that like has like moved me to be like, I need to put this shit out in some way.
Have you kind of seen that resurgence of like the punk culture in hip hop? You see, and even if it's like kind of bastardized now, where the young kids are more rockish and emo, but I feel like it's like coming back a lot. Where
major,
I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's just you see these kids running around in their Metallica shirts, and it's like they from the hood though, and it's like it's different because I remember growing up, like when I was listening to alternative or grunge or whatever, like.
And you grew up listening to that in Chicago, right?
Yeah, but I didn't talk to anybody about it. I was just like,
it was like your own thing that you loved.
Yeah, it was my music.
Like I feel like everyone loved Nirvana.
Yeah,
like I feel like my hoodest friends loved Nirvana. Like my gang member friends, they were like,
and they still do.
They loved it though, and they would quietly be like,
yeah.
But it was a quiet thing.
A quiet nod.
Yes.
Because I remember one time, one of my real good friends who was older than me, he was a gang banger, and he went away. He ended up going away for like a decade. Blah blah. We're still homies, but like, I remember trading him all of my Guns N' Roses CDs because I heard a racist thing on the Guns N' Roses album. I was like, fuck this, I'm not gonna listen to this ever again. But later on, I kind of like Guns N' Roses in some way, but there was a song that he said some weird things. He was playing a character. Now that I look back at it,
you had it kind of.
But I was like, nah,
I don't want to listen to that.
I don't want to listen to this. I basically like gave him 3 CDs, and the one CD he gave me back was Snoop.
Nice.
So it was like he wanted to listen to Guns N' Roses more than me.
But I remember like, and it's like strange. I wouldn't necessarily call them crossover bands, but I remember bands like Korn or POD and even Rage. You talked about Rage before we got started, and
yeah, man.
I think those bands really kind of allowed me to get into different types of music. I love the guitar. Like I wish I could play but I still haven't picked that skill up. I could do a lot of cool stuff in the engineering room with Pro Tools and all of that beat making, but I've never been able to get that guitar.
I gotta say, I have not seen as many. I've seen more Korn shirts right now in public than I have in the 90s.
Yeah.
And I saw Korn in 95, exactly. So just for the record. So it was like, yeah, it's funny and it's cool. I think it's really cool to see how punk. I feel like punk and hip hop is all. I have for a long time when I was young. My favorite photo. It's still one of my favorite photos of all time. It's Public Enemy wearing Minor Threat shirts, and nice. Minor Threat's one of my favorite punk bands of all time. So watching one of my favorite hip hop groups of all time rocking Minor Threat shirts. Hardcore punk. It meant a lot to me. It was like this is part of my upbringing.
Yeah.
Like I had that as my screensaver for years. for
That's nice.
And I mean, I think it's inevitable that punk and hip hop combined in a natural way. Yeah, I feel like it's a bit more of a fashion right now. And I have a lot of ideas about like the Machine Gun Kellys of the world and all this shit. But overall, what I'm doing now, I'm working with punk artists, and I'm more involved in the punk scene actually than ever because of Fat Mike from NoFX and Sam from Get Dead and our new project Co-Defendants. Like we naturally grew up out of, like Sam and I grew up out of hip hop and punk rock. Like we were raised by all of it, so it's pretty natural for us. Like you came across it, young too. We all did. Like we all come from we understand things aren't that binary,
Yeah.
I mean? So,
well, I would say this is one of the kind of defining elements of Ceschi Ramos is the fact.
And Fake Four. Fake Four has always been like
you do
pushing
genre blending.
Yeah, genre blending and.
Why do you think it's important to do genre blending?
Because I feel like that's a natural thing for us as listeners. If we're true music lovers, we aren't just listening to one thing that has to have the perfect laws behind. When I came up in hip hop, still there was a ton of laws. I was like, you gotta sample from these records, and if you sample from that record, that's wrong, and if you fucking sing that's properly, that's wrong, or if you know what I mean, like felt like there was a lot of laws when I came up in it, and truthfully, I always wanted to push the boundaries of it. I always did.
From the jump. Peace.